There are a couple common themes about the San Francisco 49ers first round draft selection regarding Ricky Pearsall. And it's one, when it initially happened, there's a lot of shock. But two, a lot of the football people love this pick for the San Francisco 49ers. And one of the guys that I trust up there in the most in regards to people who talk about football in the media is Greg Cosell. And Greg Cosell has been doing this for so many decades that he has solidified himself as one of the top football minds in the media. And it's not up for debate. He's a guy who was all over Brock Purdy early about being a very, very good quarterback, and he is typically on point with his takes. And that's no different than right here with his assessment of the San Francisco 49ers draft selection of Ricky Pearsall. So I want to share with you as he joined the Ross Tucker podcast to talk about why he likes this and how he actually predicted that this could be a strong fit for the San Francisco 49ers. Take a listen to Greg Cosell as he talks about Ricky Pearsall's fit with the 49ers right here.
Ricky Pearsall, who went to the Niners, and Xavier Legette, who went to the Carolina Panthers. Because it's really interesting. You know, C.J. Stroud and Brandon Ayuk. Ricky Pearsall was like clearly a favorite of players that had seen him play. He must be pretty good.
Well, it's funny. As you know, I do other radio shows, in various cities. And last week I did San Francisco before the draft, and they asked me about receivers because, the thought was they might trade Ayuk, even Samuel's been talked about. And they asked me what receiver I thought, if they were to pick a receiver early, that I thought would fit what they do. And I said Ricky Pearsall. And so it turned out, I was right because they drafted Ricky Pearsall. So they obviously saw it the same way I did. And, they're probably a little smarter than I am in making those evaluations. But Pearsall was one of my favorite receivers the more and the deeper I got into his evaluation. I thought he was one of the better route runners I saw on tape. I thought he had a pretty refined understanding of how to use his vertical stem to attack and break down DBs. He had body feints. He had head movements. He gave his quarterback indicators. You talk to any quarterback or receivers coach, and they'll tell you that they need indicators, whether it's a head feint, whether it's sticking with your inside or outside foot. They need an indicator from a receiver as to when they can then deliver the football. So he was pretty detailed and nuanced. He's separated. He has great hands. Everybody has seen some of his great catches. I really liked Ricky Pearsall. I had no idea, of course, where he would get drafted. And I think one thing, and again, teams look at this because I have conversations with coaches, his 20-yard shuttle time was off the charts. And he's not a small little guy. I mean, you're talking about a guy that is 6'1", so he's not a little guy. And his 20-yard shuttle was that of a much smaller man. So Ricky Pearsall, I think for the Niners and how they run their offense, is a really good pick.
So funny too, Greg, because it's like I know they don't hit on every pick, right? They obviously
Nobody
don't,
does.
but
Yeah,
it's almost like if the Niners think enough of him to take him in the first round at receiver, he's probably pretty good. I mean, the way and you can just picture him in Kyle Shanahan's offense. It's almost like when the Rams took Puka Nacua last year. There's certain coaches that, man, they get a pretty good track record of at certain positions of knowing guys that can come in and have success in their offense.
Don't forget, Russ, a number of years ago, they traded up to take Brandon Ayuk, and that's worked out okay.
Absolutely.
Again, like I talked about at the beginning of the video, I really do respect Greg. There's a handful of guys, only a very small handful of people who talk about football from an X's and O standpoint in the media that I trust. And this is one of those guys where when he says something, I'll lean in a little bit and be like, okay, this makes me either validate a take that I had or just, again, make me think differently about maybe a take that I had. But when you listen to Greg talk about this pick for the San Francisco 49ers, and when you really hear pretty much anyone who has a full knowledge of Ricky Pearsall's game, who's been selected by the Niners, you can see it. Like, you see the fit. The fit is very natural. And again, the biggest issue I think with the pick was, first of all, the bait and switch at the beginning. Secondly, the perceived value of the player and there seemingly being other players who were better than him where he was selected at, Lad McConkey, A.D. Mitchell, those kinds of guys. So let me give you this, for example. I am into my first drive of Ricky Pearsall versus LSU. One drive. In this drive, he has either been one of the primary blockers for his other wide receivers, whether it's a wide receiver screen, bubble screens, tunnel screens. He's one of the primary blockers in those play formations, or he's catching the ball. He had 2 receptions over the middle. And then on the very next play, he was able to become the lead blocker on a rushing touchdown where the running back cut off right off his hip. And I'm like, dude, I'm one drive in to his tape. And I'm like, oh yeah, this dude is a hand glove fit for exactly what Kyle Shanahan is looking for out of a wide receiver, a very willing blocker, a guy who can be used as a focal point in the blocking game, but can also be a wide receiver threat and especially do it over the middle of the field. So not only do I agree with everything that Greg Cosell is saying, but it's like you see it, you watch the tape, it's really easy to see like this is going to be a really good pick for the Niners. And again, you're looking at a guy who's polished. You're looking at a guy who's pro ready. Like he's, people talk about his age and all those different types of things being like a 50-year senior. He's ready to go. So I'm loving the pick. Again, like I'm just doing my deep dive right now and I'm already like, I already liked the player. I had already knew who he was prior. And I thought it was a good player prior, but I hadn't done the study on him yet. And I'm already loving what I'm seeing. What do you guys think? What do you think you've seen from Ricky Pearsall so far? Let me know. Do you like the pick? Do you think it's a great pick? Or do you think it was still a reach? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.